The CBRNResponder special feature webinar for using CBRNResponder for pre-planned special events are going to go over things that you can do before, during, and after a special event and how the various best practices and lessons learned from other organizations have helped inform the presentation today. We are going to cover the various ways that you can leverage CBRNResponder, including updating your organization, sharing data and managing partners, creating field teams, creating an event, uploading GIS files, various situational awareness tools, best practices, and emergency support. What are special events? So we consider special events to be those that are pre-scheduled or pre-planned. They're going to have a lot of people in attendance. It requires surveillance. Maybe your emergency operations center has been activated. These are some examples where CBRNResponder has been used in the past. So the UN General Assembly, New Year's Eve in Times Square. This was the Super Bowl a few years ago in Miami, and the Honolulu Marathon. You can use CBRNResponder for radiological and chemical monitoring during these large-scale events and gatherings in CBRNResponder, and here are some other examples. Before you go ahead and initiate your event and start collecting data, there are some things that you want to do ahead of time to ensure that you're ready to go for the special event. The first is going to be updating your organization. By making sure your organization is up to date prior to creating your event, this is going to help ensure that the correct people, teams, equipment, GIS files, etc. are added to all new events that you create so you're not duplicating work or effort. You want to ensure that everyone in your organization has an account, so that way they can assist with additional preparation activities. That way you're not approving requests the day of or during the event. You're going to want to review your organization partnerships and update any or add new organizations if you need to. By setting up teams at the organization level, it's going to make it easier to modify them and add different individuals and pieces of equipment at the event level. And if you do choose to associate equipment with your collected data, you're going to want to make sure that your equipment inventory is up to date and accurate. First, we'll talk about updating personnel. From your organization space, you'll want to expand the configuration menu and select personnel. And here is where you're going to see all of your people in your organization. There are some options at the top. If there are any requests of people looking to join your organization, you can select that button. If you need to invite new users that don't have a CBRNResponder account to join, you can use that green invite button, or you can select that blue manage button to manage your current personnel list. This is where you can add people that already have a CBRNResponder account to your organization. You can remove people from an org. You can select the various roles by either granting them additional roles or revoking any roles. And if you need to know what the various roles mean, what privileges you get with those various roles, you can select that green question mark next to the roles column header. From that invite new users button, this is going to be a really easy way to generate invitations that you can email out to a group of people. So if you have 20 or so folks, or less than that, more than that, that don't have a CBRNResponder account and need to create one, by creating an invitation, it ensures that they are joining the correct organization, and it just helps speed things along with the account creation process. Once they request an account, it is up to the personnel manager, planner, or organization admin to view and approve those requests. You'll see those requests from your organization dashboard or from that personnel page. As with adding new users, it's also important to remove users that have either retired or moved on to a different agency and no longer work with your organization. After you have your personnel managed and up to date, you'll want to ensure that you're sharing data and managing partners properly. By using CBRNResponder, you can achieve a common operating picture. However, in order to do so, you must have your partnerships established effectively and correctly. So by establishing partnerships with your surrounding agencies for special event monitoring, you're then able to practice using this partnership model. So if and when an emergency occurs, you are ready with your current partnerships. This is also a great way if people are still new to CBRNResponder, having them be a partner for a special event is going to be a great way to practice. From your organization space, right above the personnel button that or personnel page that we were in earlier, you have the partnerships option. By clicking that, it's going to show you a list of all of your organization partnerships. You're going to want to look at these partnerships and ask yourself, do I need to update any information that I want to share? Do I need to add an organization as a partner? Or do I need to delete any outdated partnerships? If you need to request a partnership, you'll go ahead and select that Request Partnership button, and you'll be brought to this form. You'll first want to select the organization that you wish to partner with, and then you are going to decide what information you want to share with your partner. There are a variety of different types of information that you can share, and you will check the appropriate boxes. If you choose to share events, you'll need to choose the event type and participation level that you want your partner to be added to. So for example, if you choose to share your special events with your partner and they have the full participation level, which you can see in the left-hand screenshot, that means when my organization creates an event with the type special event and the sharing mode partners only, this partner is automatically added to my event and I don't have to worry about going into the event partners page, manually adding them, or manually making sure that everyone who should be on the event is, if you have your partnerships established ahead of time. After you choose what you are going to be sharing with your partner, you can now request the information that you want them to share with you. So again, you are requesting this information, they need to approve it, you don't automatically get access. The form is going to look similar, you have the various types of information that you want them to share with you. And at the bottom, you have a reason for request field where you can provide greater information or context to the organization as to why you are requesting to partner with them. Partnerships are not one-sided, so like I mentioned, the organization that you are requesting to partner with must approve your request for it to take effect. And vice versa, if someone is requesting to partner with you, you have the power to approve or reject that request. This is why it's important to establish these partnerships before your special event takes place, because this does require coordination and actions from both sides. If you've had a CBRNResponder organization since 2017 or earlier, or even just for a couple years, we are constantly adding new features that you can share with your partners. So for example, with our latest web release, we now have the option for you to share threshold sets with your partners. So this means that your existing partnerships may very well be out of date. You can open up the details of your partnership by selecting the magnifying glass option and selecting Edit at the top of the partnership details page. And you'll go in and make your desired updates. It's going to be the same form that you would have for requesting a new partnership, except you'll have the various pieces of information that you're sharing with your partner and they're sharing with you pre-selected, and then you have the ability to add more or deselect any options. Once you save the changes, the existing partnership parameters will remain until your partner approves those pending changes. And here's just an example of what that looks like. Field teams and standing teams are another capability that you can leverage on the organization side. So that way when an event is created, your standing teams can automatically be copied over or added by default to then manage for that event specifically. At the organization side, from the configuration menu, there is a standing teams option, and here is where you can create your teams. You'll fill in the general details of the team, and when you get to that bottom field, Add to Events by Default, by checking this box, this means that when an event is created for this organization, this team is automatically added. So if you know that you have team members or pieces of equipment that are always going to be as part of a team, you can preset this up and then just make those specific edits on the event side. So here I have my standing team on the organization side, and I can add members and or equipment, or I can leave both members and equipment blank. For members, I can just search for the various personnel in my organization and select either the plus icon or drag that person's tile into my field team. And same for organization equipment. I'll either select the plus icon next to the tile of the piece of equipment I want to add to my team, or drag and drop. Then, when my team is copied over to the event, either by default or manually by selecting copy from standing team, I have the equipment already added, I have the personnel, and if I need to add people or equipment from other organizations on that event, I can easily just go in and edit what I need to. So now that you have your organization space set up and updated, now it's time to create your pre-planned or special event. Personnel can create an event if they have the event creator, planner, or administrator CBRNResponder organization role. You can create an event from both the website and the mobile application, and the forms are going to be the same. They're just going to have a little difference in the UI based on if you're entering your event information from the website or on the mobile application. For a pre-planned or special event, there are a few things that you should keep in mind. The first is you want to name the event something descriptive so your responders and your partners know which event to submit data into. This is an example of a name that's not easily recognizable. It may make sense for your organization if this is the parameters that you use when naming an event, but it's not going to be clear for others who are looking to submit data into the event, especially your partners. So instead, try naming it something a little bit more descriptive. So instead of HCFD, the date, TBM, I'm going to name it Tampa Bay Marathon, the date, and then the sponsor is the HCFD. You want to make sure you select the event type as special event, so that way your partners that you chose to share special events with are automatically added. And like I mentioned, you'll want to choose that appropriate sharing mode, so that way those who need access to the event can access it. On that screen, you'll have that descriptive specific name, you'll have that correct event type, and the applicable sharing mode. The benefit of typing your event as a special event is that special events and non-emergency operations and routine monitoring can be escalated to an emergency event or activated as an emergency if something does happen. So by default, a special event is not an emergency, but if it becomes one, you can select either escalate to emergency or activate as emergency to change the event type or make it available on the home page for others to request access to. If you do select any of those options, you'll get a confirmation modal, which you can see here. But this is a specific capability that only those non-emergency operations, special event, and routine monitoring events have. Hopefully you don't need to do that, but that option is there if you need to. Once that event is created, you can review your individual partners, responders, and teams that you establish at the organization level and make any updates that are event specific. It very well could be where you don't work with an agency regularly, but for this one event, you do. So you might want to add them as an individual event partner, or you may want to add individual responders. Uploading GIS files is another thing you can do ahead of time for your special events that will help provide a common operating picture. If you have GIS files, either KMZ, KML, or shapefiles, you can add them to your CBRNResponder event map for greater situational awareness. This is an example from the 2019 BMW Championship at the Medina Country Club outside of Chicago. In this CBRNResponder event, they use GIS files to show the 18 holes, the press boxes, entry-exit points, grandstands, zones, unifying command posts, etc. The images that you're seeing here are all in CBRNResponder, so then when they enter data, they're going to have their data points and their GIS files all on a single map. From the event space, you can upload your GIS files from either the configuration page or from the event map. If you wish to add a GIS file, you'll select Add File, and you'll choose the file type, the name, whether you want to add the GIS file to the map immediately or notify other personnel that the file is available, and then you'll want to upload the file from your computer. Based on the type you selected, make sure you upload the corresponding file. So if you selected KML, make sure you upload a KML. Once you have it uploaded, you'll select Validate, and CBRNResponder will go through all of the various KML features that your file has and let you know whether or not we support it. As an example here, we can see that we support polygon style maps, but we do not support balloon style, lookout, or screen overlay. We'll let you know that the file can still be added, but those unsupported features will not be displayed. If you are uploading a shapefile, make sure that you have the required file types. There is an informational message when you are uploading a shapefile what you need, but just make sure you have it properly configured so that way it's easy to upload. One major thing to note is that shapefiles will not have any styling applied to them due to the nature of the file type. So shapefiles, as an example, on this left-hand side, this is our standard styling for points, whereas KMLs or KMZ files have styling as part of the file itself and are going to then be reflected in CBRNResponder. Once your GIS files are validated and uploaded, you can then choose to display them on the event map. So here I have all 4 of my fictional states enabled and I can view them. For special events, it's important to know some best practices and different troubleshooting tips. Especially as an event creator or manager, you may be the one that people are coming to with questions from your field teams, your data collectors about how to use CBRNResponder and if they're having any issues. So here are some common issues that may occur and how you can resolve them. On the mobile application, if someone is not seeing the event on the mobile application, there could be a few reasons why. One is that if the event was recently created, they may need to refresh their events list. The reason you have to do this manually is because since the CBRNResponder mobile application can be utilized offline, we don't automatically refresh or resync, because if you are in an offline environment, your app could get stuck in this refresh or resync mode. So if you've had your mobile app open while the event was being created, you very well may need to refresh your events list in order for it to show up. You'll also want to make sure that you're looking at the correct filter. By default, you're viewing the events that are from your organization, meaning your organization created the event. If you are partnered on a special event, it would most likely be under that shared with me filter. So you'll need to switch between the from my organization filter to the shared with me filter. Another issue that could occur is that if you have your event selected, it could have some outdated information. Same reason I mentioned earlier, because you can use CBRNResponder offline, you must manually resync the event to bring any updated event information from the website down to the application. So this could be if you're added to a field team, if equipment was added, if floor plans were added. This is all information that you're going to need to manually sync down. We do recommend to always sync your event before going out to collect data, so that way when you're out in the field, you have as updated information as possible. Another issue that could occur is responders could report that the data that they recorded is not accurately reflecting where they were when they took the reading. It is up to the data collector to check their location accuracy and ensure the data point location reflects where they actually were. If you're moving around the field with your data collection form open, always check to see when your device last recorded your location. If your location hasn't been updated for the past 10 minutes, but you've been in the same spot, you're probably fine. If your location hasn't updated in the last 10 minutes and you've gone a couple miles, you might want to reconsider how you're recording your location. Same goes for your location accuracy. Poor location accuracy means that your device's GPS is not very precise, and therefore your location with your data point may be incorrect. If your location accuracy is 91 meters, that means that where you're actually standing, your data point could be recorded 91 meters away. You can easily remedy this by changing their location mode to enter either their exact address, lat long, or use the select from map functionality to show where the data point was collected. Another instance that could happen is if equipment is not showing up for selection during data collection. You'll want to ensure that your equipment is entered in CBRNResponder, first of all, and you want to make sure that it's been assigned the appropriate equipment type. This is an example of selecting a meter for a radiological field survey. If your equipment does not have the type of meter, it is not going to show up in this meters list. If you accidentally typed it as gas meter, it's not going to show up because this is for radiological meters. So this could be an issue. You'll want to make sure that your equipment are typed properly, and we do have resources and job aids to direct you on how to do so. And lastly, before you even have your responders go out and before the event even occurs, if the app is acting buggy, make sure you have the most recent version. With all versions, we make bug fixes and enhancements. So version 1.11 is the most recent release as of April 2024. If you have version 1.10, you're probably okay. If you have version 1.6, you're probably going to want to update your application. You can always check to see which version you're on by going to your profile page on your application and selecting that diagnostics option. Some other best practices before you send field teams out in the field to monitor or collect data. You'll want to determine your responder tracking settings. Do you want your responders to have their tracking enabled? You'll want to ensure that they can access the event and that they sync the event before they go out. Some recommendations that we've gotten from other organizations is to go out in teams of 2, so that way one person is using the piece of equipment to collect data and the other person is using the mobile application to enter data. Know your offline location options, so selecting from map, using an exact lat long or address, and using the attachments and photo option for greater situational awareness. Especially with a special event, there's a lot of people, there's probably a lot of things going on. With every data point that you enter in CBRNResponder, you have a free text field and an attachment field. So you can attach photos and you can provide greater context as to the environment that you're in that comment field. So use it if you would like, it's available for you. As the event is going on, there are some situational awareness tools that you can leverage. The first being your event dashboard. Every event is going to have its corresponding dashboard and event map. The dashboard is going to be great at giving you an overview of what's going on in the event at a high level. You can see what data types have been entered, how much data has been entered, how many people are entering data. There's a lot you can gather from just this one page. We have a really helpful table and graph on data that was entered. So you can choose the time range. So if you want to see data entered in the last 24 hours, the last 3 hours, the last 5 minutes, you can update that filter to see the graph of the data types that have been entered. We also have a total data breakdown option, so you can see the different data types that have been entered in the event and how many there are. Looking at this, I can see that no radiological spectra have been entered, so I don't need to look at my radiological spectra data table because there are no data types. I have a tile on field teams. This is going to show me which field teams are on the event, the team leader, the team members, any assigned equipment, and the team color. You can always select that magnifying glass for additional information, but this is going to give you a quick snapshot as to the field teams that are on your event. Likewise, for data collection assignments, we have a tile on the home page that are split into the pending and completed assignments. So it will show you the name of the assignment, the instructions, the assignee, and it will give you the ability to view the assignment in greater detail. If you wanted to see who has been entering data in the last 24 hours, we have this active responders tile, and it's going to show you the name of the person and the number of data points that they've entered and the type. Another really useful tile is the alert history. So if you have alert definitions set up, anytime that alert is triggered or initiated, you're going to be able to see that history right here. You'll also see the severity of the reading that was recorded that triggered that alert. So if you're seeing low, might not be as important to look at, but if you're seeing medium, high, you might want to take a look at those data points. Responder tracking can be enabled at the event level, but it is up to each individual user if they want to be tracked using their CBRNResponder application. All responder tracking points are associated with an event, so you must have selected an event on the mobile application for your tracking to be recorded. and you do have the ability to disable or enable tracking on your device at any time. Tracking is really useful for situational awareness, to know where your responders are, and to also know which ground they have covered. If you want to view the responder tracking paths for your teams or individuals, you'll navigate to your event map. You'll want to ensure that your responder tracking layer is enabled. And then you'll want to select the responder's tracking path that you want to view. You'll see some information about each responder, including the start and end date of their tracking path, the distance that they have gone, the number of paths. So based on time, they could have several different paths if they took a break in between a shift or something of that nature. The number of tracking points that have been recorded, any field teams that they're associated with, and the color of the tracking path. In this example, my tracking path is this purple-blue color, and I can see the data that was collected along the way. I see I have some chemical readings, I have some observations with photos. This is going to show me where my responder was, and I know which ground they've covered. I also know where they haven't been. With special events, you are eligible for emergency support. So special events, while it may not be an active emergency, it is a real-world incident. So you can utilize the IMAC portal. If you have a CBRNResponder account, you can automatically call IMAC, or for an exercise, you can request support from the website. For a real-world incident, you will want to call them. You'll give them the name of your event, the details of the incident, or if you just want prediction models, they'll create the models for you and upload it directly to your CBRNResponder event map. You also have the ability to call our CBRNResponder 24/7 emergency support hotline. We do have a message on our contact page what constitutes as a real-world emergency, and a special event is listed as one. The phone number can be found both on the mobile application and on the contact page. While this webinar focused on non-emergency events and how you can leverage CBRNResponder before and during an event, we do have a webinar focusing on best practices for using CBRNResponder during a real-world emergency. So you can check out our resources. We have a user guide cheat sheet on using CBRNResponder in an emergency, and we also have a video that you can watch. As always, we have user guides and job aids on every feature within CBRNResponder. This video will be uploaded, and various tools can be found in the resource library. If you have any questions about using CBRNResponder for a pre-planned or special event, or CBRNResponder in general, you can email us at support@cbrnresponder.net or visit our resource library for job aids, videos, and other tools.